The alarm bells rang through the ship. Dr. Kim Tae-ho dropped his coffee and ran to the main deck. His white lab coat flew behind him as he moved quickly through the narrow halls of the research ship New Seoul. "What's happening?" Tae-ho asked Captain Lee as he reached the control room. "We found something," Captain Lee said. His voice was serious. "A ship. It's damaged and drifting near the fourth planet." Tae-ho looked at the big screen. A strange ship floated in space. It was small and had a silver color that seemed to change in the light. The ship looked nothing like human ships or any alien. Ships they had seen before. "Any life signs?" Tae-ho asked. "One," said Officer Park from her station. "Very weak. The ship is losing power fast." Tae-ho was a xenobiologist. He studied alien life forms. This was why he was on the New Seoul in the first place. They were exploring new star systems looking for life. But finding actual alien life was rare. Finding alien life that was still alive was even more rare. "We need to help them," Tae-ho said. Captain Lee nodded. "Get your team ready. We're bringing that ship into our cargo bay." 2 hours later, Tae-ho stood in the cargo bay wearing his environmental suit. The alien ship was now inside their ship. It was small, maybe the size of a large car. The metal looked smooth and clean, even though it was damaged. Engineer Kim Soo-jin worked on cutting through the ship's door. Sparks flew as her tools worked on the strange metal. "Almost got it," she said through the radio. When the door finally opened, Tae-ho felt his heart beat faster. He stepped forward with his scanner ready. The inside of the ship was dark except for a few weak lights. And there she was. The alien sat in what looked like a pilot's chair. She was unconscious, but breathing. Tae-ho had seen many alien species before, but none like this one. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her skin was pale blue, like the color of ice, but sometimes it looked silver when the light hit it differently. Her hair was long and white, flowing around her shoulders like water. She was beautiful. Tae-ho tried to push that thought away. He was a scientist. He needed to think like a scientist, not like a man seeing a beautiful woman. "Is she alive?" Soo-jin asked. Tae-ho checked his scanner. "Yes. Her heart rate is slow but steady. Her body temperature is lower than human normal, but she seems stable. The alien had 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, just like humans. But her fingers were longer than human fingers. Her ears were slightly pointed. And when Tae-ho looked closer, he could see that her skin had tiny patterns on it, like scales or circuit boards. "We need to get her to the medical bay," Tae-ho said. They carefully moved the alien to a medical bed. Dr. Won Hye-jin, the ship's doctor, began checking her vital signs. The alien's breathing was soft and regular. "Her body is similar to humans in many ways," Dr. Won said. "But there are differences. Her blood is blue instead of red. Her bones seem stronger than human bones. And look at this." Dr. Won pointed to the scanner screen. "Her brain activity is very high, even while she's unconscious. It's like she's thinking about many things at once." For 3 days, the alien slept. Tae-ho checked on her often. He brought flowers from the ship's garden and put them in her room. He played soft music, thinking it might help her feel safe. On the fourth day, she woke up. Tae-ho was reading in the chair next to her bed when her eyes opened. They were large and green, like emeralds. She looked around the room quickly, her head moving like a bird checking for danger. When she saw Tae-ho, she sat up fast, too fast. She made a small sound of pain and held her head. "It's okay," Tae-ho said softly. He held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "You're safe. We found your ship. You were hurt." The alien stared at him. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but no words came out. She tried again. "Where?" she said. Her voice was soft and musical, but the word came out wrong, like she was not used to speaking this language. "You're on a human ship called New Soul," Tae-ho said slowly. "My name is Kim Tae-ho. I'm a doctor who studies alien life. What's your name?" She was quiet for a long time. Then she pointed to herself and said, "Ara." "Ara," Tae-ho repeated. "That's a pretty name." Ara looked confused. She pointed to him and made a questioning sound. "Tae-ho," he said, pointing to himself. "Kim Tae-ho." "Tae-ho," she said carefully. Her pronunciation was getting better already. Over the next few hours, Ara learned human words very quickly. By the end of the day, she could say simple sentences. By the end of the week, she was having real conversations. But she would not talk about where she came from or what had happened to her ship. Every time Tae-ho asked, she would look away and change the subject. When Dr. Won wanted to do medical scans, Ara would become nervous and ask if they could wait. "She's hiding something," Captain Lee said during a meeting. "We need to know what we're dealing with." "She seems harmless," Tae-ho said. "She's been nothing but polite and grateful." "That doesn't mean anything," Security Chief Nam Jin-soo said. "Some of the most dangerous species in the galaxy look harmless." Tae-ho understood their concerns, but he could not believe Ara was dangerous. When she thought no one was looking, he saw sadness in her eyes. Not the sadness of someone planning to hurt others, but the sadness of someone who had lost everything. During meals, Ara would sit with the crew and ask questions about human life. She was fascinated by everything. How humans fell in love, why they kept pets, why they made art when it served no practical purpose. "Your species is very emotional," she said to Tae-ho one day as they walked through the ship's garden. "You make choices based on feelings, not just logic." "Is that bad?" Tae-ho asked. Ara touched a flower gently. Her long fingers were very careful, like she was afraid of breaking it. "No," she said quietly. "I think it's beautiful." That night, Tae-ho could not sleep. He kept thinking about Ara. The way she moved like she was dancing even when she was just walking. The way she looked at everything with wonder. The way she smiled when she learned something new. But he also thought about the secrets she was keeping. What had happened to her people? Why was she alone? And why did she seem so afraid of letting them run medical tests? In her room, Ara stood by the window looking out at the stars. She pressed her hand against the glass and whispered something in her own language. Words that sounded sad and beautiful at the same time. She was grateful to these humans for saving her life. They were kind to her, especially Tae-ho, but she knew that if they ever learned what she really was beneath this shell she wore, their kindness would turn to fear, and they would be right to fear her. 3 weeks had passed since they brought Aura aboard the new Soul. The ship had docked at Research Station Harmony, a large space station that served as home to over 300 humans studying this part of the galaxy. Aura walked through the station's main corridor with Tae-ho. She had learned to speak Korean and English perfectly now. Her voice still had that musical quality, but she sounded almost human when she talked. "The station is much bigger than your ship," Aura said, looking up at the high ceilings. "It has to be," Tae-ho explained. "We have laboratories, living areas, farms, workshops, and recreation areas. Some people live here for years at a time." They stopped at the botanical laboratory where Dr. Park Soo-jin was working. Soo-jin was a plant scientist who studied how to grow food in space. She had agreed to let Aura help with her research. "Good. Morning, Aura," Soo-jin said with a smile. "Ready to learn about Earth vegetables?" Aura nodded eagerly. She had shown great interest in all human sciences, but she seemed especially drawn to living things. Soo-jin showed Aura a row of tomato plants. Some were healthy and green, others looked sick with yellow leaves. "Can you tell which plants are healthy?" Soo-jin asked. Aura walked slowly along the row. She stopped at each plant and held her hands near them, but did not touch. After a few moments, she pointed to the sick plants. "These 3 are not well. This one has too much water. That one needs different nutrients. And this one—" She paused and looked closer. "This one has a disease in its roots." Soo-jin checked her computer records. Aura was exactly right about all of them. "How did you know?" Soo-jin asked, amazed. Aura looked embarrassed. I can feel it somehow. Is that strange?" "It's incredible," Soo-jin said. "It took me years of study to learn what you just knew by looking." Later that day, Aura met engineer Lee Dong-woo in the maintenance section. Dong-woo was a friendly man who loved to talk about his family back on Earth. He had pictures of his wife and young daughter on his workbench. "This machine cleans the station's water," Dong-woo explained, showing Aura a large device covered in pipes and gauges. "It's been making strange noises lately. I can't figure out what's wrong." Aura listened to the machine for a few minutes. She walked around it, tilting her head like she was hearing something specific. "The third pump from the left," she said. "The bearings are wearing out. It will fail completely in about 6 days if you don't replace them." Dong-woo opened the access panel and checked the pump. His scanner confirmed what Aura had said. The bearings were indeed wearing out. "How did you hear that?" he asked. "The sound it makes is different from the others," Aura said simply, "like when a person's voice changes when they are getting sick." That evening, Dong-woo received a video message from his family on Earth. His daughter, a little girl named So-young, had drawn a picture for him. She held it up to the camera with a big smile. "Daddy, I drew our house with all of us together," she said in the video. "When are you coming home?" Dong-woo's face became sad as he watched. Aura, who was sitting nearby, saw tears form in his eyes. You miss them, Ara said softly. Every day, Dongwu admitted. I'll be here for another 2 years before I can go home. Why do you stay so far from them if it makes you sad? Dongwu thought about his answer. Because the work we do here helps make life better for everyone, including my family. Sometimes love means making hard choices. Ara watched the video again as Dongwu's daughter laughed and played. She loves you even though you're not there, Ara observed. Yes, Dongwu said, and you love her even though it hurts to be away. Yes. Ara was quiet for a long time. Humans choose to love even when they know it will cause pain, even when they know they might lose each other someday. That's what makes it real, Dongwu said. Love without risk isn't really love. As the days passed, Ara became part of the station's daily life. She helped Su-jin in the gardens, learned engineering from Dongwu, and spent her evenings talking with Taiho about science and philosophy. But she also showed abilities that made people wonder what she really was. She could predict equipment failures before they happened. She could sense when people were getting sick before they felt symptoms. She seemed to understand human emotions better than many humans did. One evening, Tae-ho found Ara in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. "Do you ever think about your home?" he asked, sitting beside her. Ara was quiet for a moment. "I try not to," she said finally. "Why? Because my home is gone. My people they are not what you think they are." Tae-ho waited for her to say more, but she didn't. "Whatever happened before doesn't matter now," he said. "You're here now. You're safe." Ara turned to look at him. In the starlight, her skin seemed to glow softly. "You're very kind, Tae-ho. All of you are. I've never met beings like humans before. What makes us different? You see beauty in things that have no purpose except to be beautiful. You risk your lives to save strangers. You love each other even though you know you will die and leave each other behind." Ara smiled sadly. "My people were not like that." "Were?" Ara looked back at the stars. "There are not many of us left now. Most are dead. The rest are hiding, scattered across the galaxy." "What happened to them?" "They were hunted," Ara said simply, "by those who feared what they might do." Tae-ho wanted to ask more questions, but he could see that talking about her people caused Ara pain. Instead, he just sat with her in comfortable silence, watching the stars together. Neither of them noticed that someone was listening from the doorway. Security Chief Nam Jin-soo heard everything before quietly walking away. The next morning, Nam Jin-soo sent a priority message to the Galactic Council headquarters. He reported that they had an alien aboard the station who claimed her people had been hunted to near extinction. He requested information about any species matching that description. The answer came back faster than he expected, and it was not what he wanted to hear. In the botanical lab, Ara worked happily with Su-jin, teaching her how to sense which plants needed care. She had no idea that her peaceful new life was about to end. "You have a gift," Su-jin told her as they worked. "I've never seen anyone understand living things the way you do." Thank you, Ara said, gently touching a flowering vine. On my world, we believe that all living things are connected. If you listen carefully, you can hear what they need. I wish I could visit your world someday, Sujin said. Ara's smile faded. No, she said quietly. You wouldn't want to see what my world became. Commander Baek Hyun-woo stared at the message on his screen. He had read it 3 times, but the words still didn't make sense. According to the Galactic Council's files, the alien they had rescued was not a harmless refugee. She was something much worse. This has to be wrong, he said to himself. The message was marked with the highest security level. It contained detailed information about a species called the Velnari. The files described them as dangerous shapeshifters who could look like any other species. They were parasites who fed on other life forms from the inside, slowly taking over their bodies and minds. According to the report, the Velnari had destroyed 17 different civilizations before the Galactic Council had finally hunted them down. Most were dead now. The few survivors were considered extremely dangerous and were to be captured immediately for examination and disposal. The description matched Ara perfectly. The same pale blue skin that changed color in different light. The same pointed ears and long fingers. The same ability to sense things about living creatures that others couldn't. Hyun-woo called an emergency meeting with his senior staff. Tae-ho, Sujin, Dong-woo, Dr. Won, and Security Chief Nam Jin-soo gathered in the conference room. We have a problem, Hyun-woo began. He activated the wall screen and showed them the council files. Tae-ho felt his stomach drop as he read the report. This can't be right. Ara isn't a parasite. She's been helping us, not hurting us. The report says they're masters of deception, Nam Jin-soo said. They make themselves appear helpful and friendly while they study their prey. Prey? Sujin said angrily. Ara saved my plants when they were dying. She's taught me more about botany in 3 weeks than I learned in 3 years of study. That's exactly what makes them dangerous, Nam Jin-soo replied. They learn about their victims by helping them. Then they strike when their guard is down. Dr. Won looked at the medical data in the files. Some of this matches what I observed about her biology. The blue blood, the unusual brain activity, the way her body temperature is lower than human normal. But nothing about her behavior matches this description, Dong-woo said. She cried when she saw the video of my daughter. Parasites don't have emotions like that. How do we know she was really crying? Nam Jin-soo asked. How do we know any of what she's shown us is real? Tae-ho felt sick. He had grown to care about Ara over the past weeks. The idea that she might be deceiving them, that she might be planning to hurt them, was painful to consider. What does the council want us to do? He asked. Hyun-woo sighed. They're sending ships to collect her. We're ordered to keep her confined until they arrive. And then what happens to her? Sujin asked. The message doesn't say, Hyun-woo admitted. But given what these files say about her species, I don't think it will be pleasant. The room was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Tae-ho spoke. I want to talk to her, he said. Before we do anything, I want to hear her side of the story. Is that wise? Namjinsu asked. If she really is what these files say she is, confronting her could be dangerous. Then we'll take precautions, Hyunwoo decided. But Tai-ho is right. We owe her a chance to explain. They found Ara in the observation deck, where she often went to watch the stars. She was sitting on the floor with her legs crossed, her eyes closed, as if she was meditating. Ara, Taeho said softly. She opened her eyes and smiled at him. Hello, Taeho. Is something wrong? You look upset. Taeho sat down across from her. The others stood behind him, ready to act if needed. We received some information about your species, Taeho began carefully, about the Velnari. Ara's face went completely white. The smile disappeared from her lips. She looked at each of the humans, and Tai-ho could see fear growing in her green eyes. What did they tell you? She asked in a whisper. That your people are parasites, Tai-ho said. That you destroy other species by taking over their bodies. Ara closed her eyes and was silent for a long time. When she opened them again, there were tears running down her cheeks. They told you the truth, she said quietly. The humans tensed. Namjinsu moved his hand closer to his weapon. But not the whole truth, Ara continued. Yes, my people can do those things. We were created to do those things. But that doesn't mean we choose to do them. Created? Dr. Wan asked. Long ago, an ancient race made my people to be weapons, Ara explained. They designed us to be beautiful and trustworthy, so we could get close to their enemies. Then we were supposed to take over their bodies and destroy their civilizations from within. And did you? Taeho asked. Some did, Ara admitted. For thousands of years, my people did exactly what they were created to do, but then something changed. We began to develop our own thoughts, our own feelings. We started to question why we had to destroy others. She stood up and walked to the window. The race that created us is long dead. But my people were still killing others because it was all we knew how to do. Some of us wanted to stop. We wanted to find another way to live. What happened to those who wanted to stop? Sujin asked. We were hunted by both sides, Ara said, sadly. The Galactic Council hunted us because of what our people had done. But our own people hunted us too, because they saw us as traitors to our nature. She turned back to face them. Most of my people are dead now. The ones who are left alive are either hiding like me, or they are still killing because they don't know any other way to survive. Why didn't you tell us this before? Hyunwoo asked. Because I knew you would look at me the way you're looking at me now, Ara said. With fear, with suspicion. You would see only what I could do, not what I choose to do. But you could hurt us, Namjinsu said. You could take over our bodies whenever you wanted. Yes, Ara said simply. I could. Just like you could hurt me with your weapons whenever you wanted. But you choose not to. Just like I choose not to hurt you. How do we know you're telling the truth? Namjinsu demanded. Ara looked at him sadly. You don't. You can only decide whether to trust me or not. But I want you to know that these past weeks with you have been the happiest of my life. You showed me what it means to choose kindness over violence. You taught me that it's possible to love without wanting to possess or destroy. She walked toward the door, then stopped. The council ships will be here soon, won't they? She asked. How? Did you know? Hyunwoo asked. Because that's what always happens, Ara said. Don't worry. I won't fight them. I won't put you in danger because of what I am. After she left, the humans stood in silence. Do you believe her? Hyunwoo asked. I don't know, Taeho said honestly. But I know that she's had dozens of chances to hurt us and she never has. If she really wanted to take over our bodies, wouldn't she have done it by now? Maybe she's waiting for something, Nam Jin-soo said. Maybe she needs more time to study. Us. Or maybe, Soo-jin said quietly, she really is just someone who's trying to be better than what she was made to be. That night, Ara sat alone in her room. She had always known this day would come. She had hoped that maybe, with the humans, she could have found a place where she belonged. But she understood their fear. She had seen what her people could do. She had felt the hunger inside herself, the drive to consume and control. Every day she fought against that nature. Every day she chose to be gentle instead of violent, to help instead of harm. But the ability was always there, just beneath the surface. She looked at her hands. To the humans, they appeared normal. But she could feel the changes waiting underneath. Her skin, the sharp edges that could cut through metal, the chemicals that could dissolve flesh, the power that could level buildings. She whispered a prayer in her own language, asking for strength to keep fighting her nature for whatever time. She had left. Tomorrow the council ships would come, and her peaceful life with the humans would end. The Galactic Council ships appeared on the edge of the star system like dark birds of prey. 3 massive warships, each one larger than Research Station Harmony. Their black hulls absorbed the light from the nearby star, making them look like holes in space itself. Commander Hyunwoo watched them approach on the main screen in the command center. The lead ship was sending a transmission. This is Captain Oh Jin-woo of the Galactic Council Enforcement Division, a stern voice announced. We are here to collect the Velnari fugitive you have in custody. Prepare to transfer the prisoner immediately. Hyunwoo looked around the command center. His crew was tense. They all knew what was about to happen, but none of them felt good about it. Respond, Hyunwoo ordered. Captain Oh, this is Commander Baek Hyunwoo of Research Station Harmony. The individual you're referring to has been cooperative and helpful during her time here. May I ask what will happen to her? There was a pause before Oh Jin-woo replied. That information is classified. The prisoner will be processed according to council protocols. You have 1 hour to prepare for transfer. The transmission ended. Hyunwoo felt a cold weight in his stomach. Processed according to council protocols didn't sound like anything good. Taeho found Ara in the botanical lab, sitting quietly among the plants. She was holding a small flowering vine that had been dying when she first arrived. Now it was healthy and green, covered in white blooms. They're here, he said softly. Ara nodded without looking up. I know. I can feel their ships. They have weapons that can destroy this entire station. You don't seem afraid. I've been afraid for so long that I'm tired of it, Ara said. She gently placed the vine back in its pot. These plants will miss me. They were just learning to trust again. Tejo sat beside her. Tell me the rest of the story, about your people, about what really happened. Ara was quiet for a moment. Do you really want to know? Or are you just trying to make yourself feel better about giving me to the council? I want to know because I care about you, Tejo said. And because I'm starting to think we might be making a terrible mistake. Ara looked at him with surprise. You still care? Even after learning what I am? I care about who you choose to be, Tejo said, not what you were made to be. Ara smiled sadly. My people weren't always killers. When we first became conscious, when we first began to think for ourselves, many of us tried to find peaceful ways to live. We wanted to use our abilities to help others instead of destroying them. What went wrong? Fear, Ara said simply. When other species learned what we could do, they became afraid. They saw us as a threat that had to be eliminated. And when we tried to defend ourselves, we proved their fears were right. She stood up and walked to the window. The council ships were getting closer. Some of my people decided that if we were going to be hunted anyway, we might as well embrace what we were made to be. They gave in to their nature and became the monsters everyone expected them to be. Others, like me, tried to hide. We suppressed our true forms and pretended to be other species. But the council found you anyway. The council has ways of detecting us, Ara said, and some of my own people hunt down those of us who refuse to fight. They see us as weak, as traitors to our species. Tejo felt a chill. Are there others like you? Others who want to live peacefully? A few, Ara said. Scattered across the galaxy, hiding, always running. Most of us have never met each other. It's too dangerous. What happens if the council catches you? Ara turned to face him. They will try to learn how to detect and kill others like me. Then they will dispose of me. They call it processing. But what they really mean is execution. The communicator on the wall crackled to life. All station personnel report to stations. Prepare for council boarding. Ara closed her eyes. It's time. Wait, Tejo said. He grabbed her hand. There has to be another way. There isn't, Ara said gently. If I resist, they will destroy this station and everyone on it. I won't let that happen. Security Chief Nam Jinsu appeared in the doorway with 2 guards. Ara, you need to come with us. Ara nodded and started walking toward them. But as they moved through the station's corridors, something strange happened. People came out of their rooms and workshops to watch her pass. Scientists, engineers, maintenance workers, even children who lived on the station with their families. They didn't look at her with fear or hatred. They looked sad. Some of them had tears in their eyes. Dr. Park Soo-jin was among them. Thank you for saving my plants, she said as Ara passed. Engineer Lee Dong-woo stepped forward. My daughter would have liked you, he said quietly. You have a kind heart. Even Dr. Wan, who had been suspicious of Ara from the beginning, nodded, respectfully. I hope you find peace, she said. Ara stopped walking. She looked at all the human faces around her, and tears began flowing down her cheeks. I don't understand, she whispered. You know what I am. You know what I could do to you. Why aren't you afraid? A young maintenance worker named Kim Min Ho spoke up. Because we've seen what you choose to do, he said. And that's what matters. The moment was interrupted by the sound of ships docking with the station. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors as council soldiers marched aboard. Captain Oh Jin-woo appeared, flanked by 6 armed soldiers in black armor. He was a tall, cold-looking man with gray hair and calculating eyes. Where is the prisoner? He demanded. Here, Ara said, stepping forward. I'm ready to go. Oh Jin-woo looked at her carefully. You don't look like much. Hard to believe something so small could be so dangerous. Appearances can be deceiving, Ara said quietly. Indeed. Oh Jin-woo gestured to his soldiers. Restrain her. The soldiers moved forward with metal restraints, designed specifically for dangerous aliens. As they reached for Ara's arms, something unexpected happened. The restraints began to smoke and hiss. The metal was dissolving wherever it touched Ara's skin. Everyone stepped back in shock. Ara looked down at her hands in horror. Her carefully maintained human appearance was beginning to crack. Literally. Her pale blue skin was developing lines that looked like breaks in glass. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm trying to control it, but I'm scared, and it's hard to keep the shell together when I'm scared. One of the soldiers raised his weapon. Captain, she's changing. Stand down, Oh Jin-woo ordered, but his hand was on his own weapon now. Interesting. So the reports were accurate. You really can't control your true nature when you're under stress. Through the cracks in her skin, the humans could see something that definitely wasn't human. Something that glowed with its own light. Something that looked both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Please, Ara said, her voice changing, becoming more musical, but also more alien. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just need a moment to calm down. But it was too late. The council soldiers were trained to respond to threats. They saw an alien whose disguise was failing, whose true form was emerging. They saw exactly what they had been told to expect. They opened fire. Ara screamed. But not from pain. She screamed because she felt her control slipping away completely. The protective shell she had maintained for so long was shattering, and underneath it was something that had been designed to be a weapon. The energy blasts from the council soldiers' weapons hit Ara and threw her backward against the wall, but instead of falling down, she stayed standing. Where the energy had hit her, her human-like skin had burned away completely, revealing something. Underneath that made everyone gasp. Parts of her body were made of what looked like living crystal. The crystals were a deep blue color, and they glowed with their own inner light. Other parts looked like metal, but metal that moved and flowed like liquid. and in some places there were things that looked biological but completely alien, tubes, and chambers filled with glowing fluids. "Dear God," Dr. Wan whispered. "What is she?" Ara looked at her hands in horror. Her carefully maintained human appearance was gone. What remained was something that was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. She was still roughly human-shaped, but no one could mistake her for human now. "I'm sorry," she said, and her voice had changed too. It was still musical, but now it had harmonics that human voices couldn't make. "I tried so hard to keep the shell intact. I didn't want you to see this." Captain O Jinwoo raised his weapon again. "Fire! Destroy it before it can attack." But as the soldiers fired their weapons again, something amazing happened. Ara moved faster than anyone thought possible. She dodged the energy blasts easily, moving like liquid light. And when one blast came too close to hitting Tae-ho, she reached out with one crystalline hand and somehow absorbed the energy, making it disappear harmlessly. "Stop!" she cried out. "I don't want to fight you." "All Velnari say that," O Jinwoo said coldly. "Right before they kill everyone around them." More soldiers poured into the corridor. They had weapons designed specifically for fighting dangerous aliens, energy nets, sonic disruptors, molecular dissolvers. They surrounded Ara completely. "Last chance," O Jinwoo said. "Surrender now, or we will destroy you and anyone who gets in our way." Ara looked around at all the weapons pointed at her. Then she looked at the humans she had come to care about. Tae-ho, Sujin, Dongwoo, all the others, they were in danger because of her. "I won't let you hurt them," she said quietly. "Then surrender." "No," Ara said. "I mean, I won't let you hurt them by threatening to destroy the station if I resist." What happened next was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Ara's body began to change more dramatically. The crystal parts of her grew larger and brighter. The metal parts flowed and reshaped themselves. And from somewhere inside her came a sound like singing, but too complex and beautiful for human ears to fully understand. The council soldiers opened fire with everything they had. Ara moved through their attacks like she was dancing. Energy blasts that should have killed her were absorbed harmlessly into her crystalline skin. Physical projectiles bounced off the metal parts of her body without leaving a mark. And when they fired their molecular dissolvers, the most dangerous weapons they had, Ara simply redirected the beams harmlessly into the walls. But she didn't fight back. Even when the soldiers kept attacking her, even when they tried to hurt her, she didn't hurt them. Instead, she moved past them like flowing water and reached the nearest weapons control panel. She touched the panel with one crystalline finger. Immediately, all the council soldiers' weapons stopped working. Not broken, just turned off. "How did you do that?" O Jinwoo demanded. "I can interface with any technology," Ara said. "It's part of what I was designed to do. I was supposed to use this ability to sabotage enemy systems before consuming their populations." She moved to another panel and touched it. All through the station, defensive systems that the humans didn't even know they had began activating. But instead, Ara continued, "I'm using it to protect the people I care about." Captain O Jinwoo was no longer confident. He spoke into his communicator. All ships, target the station. Prepare to destroy it completely." "No!" Tae-ho stepped forward. "There are 300 innocent people on this station." "And one Velnari," Oh Jin-woo said coldly. "That's a trade the council is willing to make." Ara looked at Tae-ho with her glowing eyes. "I'm sorry," she said. "I have to do something I promised myself I would never do." Before anyone could ask what she meant, Ara was moving again. But this time she wasn't just defending. This time she was using her abilities offensively. She touched the wall and somehow sent a signal directly to the council ships. In seconds, every weapon system on all 3 warships simply shut down. Not destroyed, not damaged, just turned off as if someone had flipped a switch. Then she did something even more incredible. She interfaced with the ship's navigation systems and sent them drifting away from the station, unable to control their movement. "Impossible," Oh Jin-woo breathed. "You're interfacing with our systems from here? Through the station's hull?" "I told you," Ara said sadly. "I was designed to be a weapon, a very effective weapon. The council soldiers tried to rush her with physical weapons, swords and clubs that couldn't be turned off. But Ara moved faster than their eyes could follow. She disarmed them all without seriously hurting any of them, though several would have broken bones and bruises. In less than 5 minutes, she had neutralized an entire council military force without killing a single person. The corridor was quiet except for the groans of injured soldiers and the soft humming sound that came from Ara's crystalline body. "Now you see," Ara said, looking at the humans around her. "This is what I really am. This is what I've been hiding from you." Soo-jin stared at her in amazement. "You could have done this at any time. You could have taken over the entire station, whenever you wanted." "Yes," Ara said simply, "but you didn't." "No." Dongwoo looked at the disabled weapons scattered around the floor. "You could have killed all of us." "Easily." "Why didn't you?" Ara's glowing form seemed to dim a little. "Because I chose not to. Every day, every hour, every moment, I choose not to be what I was designed to be." She looked at her hands again. The crystal and metal and biological components pulsed with energy that could level mountains or heal the sick, destroy cities or grow gardens. "You call me beautiful, human," she said to Tae-ho, "but you haven't seen what I am beneath the shell. Now you have, and now you know why my people are hunted. We are living weapons that choose whether to destroy or create." Captain Oh Jin-woo struggled to his feet. "You think you're different from the others of your kind? You think choosing to hide makes you better than them? I think choosing to heal instead of harm makes me different from what I was created to be," Ara replied. "Just like humans choose to be different from their animal ancestors." She turned to face the humans. Her alien form was still glowing, still obviously dangerous, but somehow less frightening now that they understood what they were seeing. "I understand if you want me to leave now," she said quietly. "I understand if you're afraid of me." The humans looked at each other. They had just seen abilities that defied their understanding of physics and biology. They had seen someone who could destroy armies or build civilizations with equal ease. But they had also seen someone who chose to protect rather than destroy, even when it would have been easier to fight. Tejo stepped forward, closer to Ara's glowing form. "I'm not afraid of you," he said. "I'm amazed by you. All this time you had this incredible power, and you used it to help my tomato plants grow better." Despite everything, Ara laughed. The sound was like music made of crystal and starlight. The emergency meeting in the station's main conference room was unlike any in the history of Research Station Harmony. Around the table sat the senior staff, while on the main screen appeared the faces of people calling in from all over the station: scientists, engineers, maintenance workers, teachers, even some of the older children. Everyone wanted to have their say about what should happen next. Commander Hyunwoo looked tired. The council ships were still drifting powerless in space. Nearby, their crews demanding that the station surrender Ara immediately. But that decision was no longer his alone to make. "Let's be clear about our situation," Hyunwoo began. "Ara has demonstrated abilities that are beyond anything we've seen before. She could have killed all of us at any time, but she chose not to. However, by protecting her, we are directly defying the Galactic Council. That could mean expulsion from the galactic community, loss of trade agreements, even military action against Earth itself." Dr. Wan spoke first. "I've been analyzing the medical data from when she revealed her true form. Her body appears to be part biological, part technological, and part something we don't have words for. She's essentially a living machine designed for infiltration and warfare." "But she's not just a machine," Su Jin interrupted. "She has emotions. She cares about others. She chose to help rather than harm." Security Chief Nam Jin-soo shook his head. "That doesn't change what she's capable of. We saw her disable 3 warships from inside the station. She could probably destroy half the fleet before they could stop her, which is exactly why she shouldn't be handed over to the council," said Engineer Kim Yoon-ho from his workshop. "If they study her, if they learn how to build more like her, what happens then?" Captain Oh Jin-woo, who was being held in the station's detention area along with his soldiers, had been demanding to speak. Hyun-woo finally allowed him to join the discussion via video link. "You're all fools," Oh Jin-woo said bluntly. "You're thinking with your emotions instead of your brains. That thing has been studying you for weeks, learning your weaknesses, figuring out how to manipulate you. Everything she's done has been calculated to make you trust her. Then why did she disable your ships instead of killing your crews?" asked Dr. Park Min-jun from the physics lab. "If she wanted to eliminate threats, wouldn't it have been easier to just destroy you?" "Maybe she needs us alive for some reason," Oh Jin-woo replied. "Maybe her plan requires keeping some humans functional." Tejo had been quiet throughout the discussion, but now he stood up. "I've spent more time with Ara than anyone here. I've seen her when she thought no one was watching. I've seen her cry over Dongwoo's family videos. I've seen her refuse to let plants die even when saving them served no strategic purpose. If this is all an act, then she's a better actor than any human who ever lived." "Or," said a voice from the communication system, "maybe she's exactly what she appears to be. Someone trying to choose a different path than the one she was created for." The voice belonged to Nam Ji-won, a young communications officer who rarely spoke in meetings, but now she had everyone's attention. "I've been thinking about this," Ji-won continued. "We judge people by their actions, not by what they're capable of doing. Commander Hyun-woo is capable of ordering this entire station destroyed, but we don't fear him because we trust his judgment. Dong-woo is capable of sabotaging our life support systems, but we trust him because of his choices." "That's different," Nam Jin-soo protested. "They're human." "Is it different?" Ji-won asked. "Ara was designed to be a weapon, but she chooses to be a healer. Humans evolved to be hunters and killers, but we choose to be explorers and scientists. Why is our choice to be better than our nature acceptable, but hers isn't?" The room fell, silent. It was a question that cut to the heart of everything they believed about consciousness, choice, and what it meant to be a person. Dr. Won looked uncomfortable. "There's still the question of safety. What if she loses control? What if her violent nature takes over? What if any of us lose control?" Soo-jin asked. "What if you have a breakdown and poison everyone in the medical bay? What if I sabotage the food systems? We all have the ability to hurt each other. We choose not to." Commander Hyun-woo called for a formal vote. "The question before us is simple. Do we surrender Ara to the Council, knowing that she will likely be executed? Or do we protect her, knowing that we're risking conflict with the most powerful government in the galaxy?" The debate that followed was intense. Some argued that they couldn't risk the safety of 300 people for one alien, no matter how sympathetic her story. Others argued that abandoning someone who had chosen to be peaceful would make them no better than the council they were defying. Young maintenance worker Kim Min-ho made a passionate speech. "My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days on Earth when people were persecuted for being different. She said the test of a civilization wasn't how it treated the powerful, but how it treated the powerless. Ara is alone, outnumbered, and hunted. If we abandon her now, what does that say about who we are?" Dr. Park Soo-jin spoke about the work Ara had done in the botanical labs. "She didn't just help my plants grow. She taught them to be stronger, more resistant to disease. She was making them better than they were before. That's not the behavior of a parasite. That's the behavior of someone who cares about life." Engineer Lee Dong-woo talked about how Ara had reacted to the video of his family. "I've been around a lot of different species. I've never seen an alien cry at a human family video. Whatever she was designed to be, she's become something more." Security Chief Nam Jin-soo remained opposed. "I understand the emotional arguments, but we have a responsibility to the people on this station. We can't protect everyone if we're dead." The vote was close. Very close. In the end, it came down to a single question that Tae-ho asked before. The final ballot. If we surrender someone who chose to be good instead of evil, how do we live with ourselves afterward? And what do we tell our children about the choice we made? The final vote was 157 in favor of protecting Ara, 143 in favor of surrendering her to the Council. Commander Hyun-woo looked at the results and sighed. The decision has been made. We protect Ara. He opened a communication channel to the Council ships. Captain Oh Jin-woo, this is Commander Baek Yun-woo. After careful consideration, we have decided that we cannot surrender Ara to your custody. We believe she poses no threat to galactic security and should be allowed to live freely. Oh Jin-woo's voice was cold with fury. You're making a terrible mistake, Commander. The Council will not accept this defiance. Then we'll face the consequences, Hyun-woo replied. But we won't be responsible for the execution of someone whose only crime was choosing to be better than her nature. Throughout the station, people began preparing for whatever might come next. They had made their choice. They would stand with someone who had chosen peace over violence, creation over destruction. But as they worked, many of them wondered if they had just signed their own death warrants. In her quarters, Ara sat by the window, watching the Council ships slowly drifting in space. She had heard every word of the debate through the station's communication system. She was amazed that the humans had chosen to protect her, but she was also terrified of what that choice might cost them. For the first time in her long life, someone had seen what she truly was and chosen to accept her anyway. The feeling was overwhelming, but she also knew that the Council would not give up easily. More ships would come, bigger ships, and eventually the humans' kindness might not be enough to protect either of them. The Council reinforcements arrived 3 days later. Not 3 ships this time, but 12. Massive dreadnoughts that could reduce the research station to dust in minutes. They took positions around Research Station Harmony like a pack of wolves, surrounding wounded prey. Admiral Chen Kai-ming, commander of the Council fleet, was not interested in negotiation. His first transmission was brief and direct. Research Station Harmony, you have 1 hour to surrender the Velnari, or we will destroy your station and everyone on it. This is not a request. In her quarters, Ara felt the weight of 12 massive warships pressing down on her consciousness. Her enhanced senses could detect their weapon systems charging, their crews preparing for battle. Soon, these kind humans, who had chosen to protect her, would die because of what she was. She couldn't let that happen. Taeho found her in the botanical lab, sitting among the plants she loved. But something was wrong. The air around her seemed to shimmer, and the plants nearby were growing too fast, their leaves becoming too green, their flowers too bright. "Ara," he said carefully, "are you all right?" She looked at him, and he saw that her human appearance was starting to slip again. Cracks of crystal light showed through her skin, and her eyes were glowing brighter than usual. "I can't control it anymore," she whispered. "The stress, the fear for all of you, it's making my true nature come out, and my true nature wants to fight." The plants around her were growing even faster now, becoming twisted and strange. Some were developing thorns that looked like weapons. Others were secreting fluids that made the air smell dangerous. "I'm trying so hard to stay peaceful," Ara continued, her voice changing, becoming more musical and alien. "But everything I was designed to be is telling me to destroy the ships before they can hurt you." Taeho moved closer, ignoring the dangerous-looking plants. What happens if you give in to that nature? I become what the council says I am, Ara said sadly. A monster. A destroyer. I could tear those ships apart, Teho. I could kill everyone on them in ways that would give you nightmares. And once I start, I might not be able to stop. Through the station's speakers came the sound of Admiral Chen's voice. 30 minutes remaining. Evacuate immediately or face destruction. Commander Hyunwoo's voice responded. We will not surrender an innocent being to execution. If you attack this station, you will be responsible for the deaths of 300 peaceful researchers. Then their blood is on your hands. The Admiral replied coldly. Ara stood up suddenly, her movements sharp and inhuman. The crystals under her skin were glowing brighter, and the air around her was starting to vibrate with energy. I have to do something, she said. I can't let them kill you because of me. Ara, wait, Teho said, but she was already moving. She walked quickly through the station's corridors, and everywhere she passed, technology began responding to her presence. Lights flickered, computers hummed louder, and the air itself seemed to pulse with energy. In the command center, alarms were going off. Commander, called Officer Kim from the sensor station, I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the station. It's like every system is being overcharged at once. Ara appeared in the doorway of the command center. Her human disguise was almost completely gone now. Crystal structures had emerged from her skin, glowing with intense blue light. Metal flowed like liquid across parts of her body, reshaping itself into forms that looked both beautiful and terrifying. I'm sorry, she said to Commander Hyunwoo. I can't control what I'm about to become. What are you talking about? Hyunwoo asked. My people were designed to be able to interface with any technology, to sabotage enemy systems and turn their own weapons against them. But we were also designed to be living weapons ourselves. When we're threatened, when we're afraid, our bodies automatically prepare for war. As she spoke, more changes became visible. Parts of her body that had looked biological were revealing themselves to be something else entirely. Living weapons systems, energy generators, things that had no names in any human language. The stress of knowing you might all die because of me is triggering my combat protocols, she continued. I'm becoming something that was designed to destroy entire civilizations. Engineer Dongwoo looked at his instruments in amazement. The energy readings are off the scale. Whatever she's becoming, she's drawing power from sources I can't even identify. 15 minutes remaining, came Admiral Chen's voice over the speakers. Ara screamed in frustration and pain. She was fighting against her own nature, trying to hold back abilities that wanted to be used. The effort was tearing her apart from the inside. Let me help, Teho said, moving toward her. No! Ara backed away. Don't touch me. I don't know what my body might do to protect itself. I could hurt you without meaning to. But Teho kept coming. You won't hurt me. You've had a dozen chances to hurt me, and you never have. This is different, Ara said desperately. This isn't me choosing. This is my body's automatic responses. I was built to be a weapon, and weapons destroy threats. Then don't see me as a threat, Teho said gently. See me as someone who cares about you. He reached out and took her hand. The crystal growths on her skin were sharp enough to cut steel, But they didn't cut him. The energy fields around her body could have stopped his heart, but they didn't hurt him. 5 minutes remaining, Admiral Chen announced. Ara looked at Tae-ho with her glowing eyes. They're going to kill everyone on this station. Hundreds of innocent people. Children. I know. I could stop them. I could destroy their ships before they could fire a single shot. I know. But if I do that, I become the monster they say I am. I become everything my people were created to be. Tae-ho squeezed her crystalline hand gently. What do you want to be? I want to be someone who protects without destroying, Ara said. Someone who saves lives without taking them. Then be that. But how? How do I save you without becoming what I was made to be? Tae-ho thought for a moment. Then he smiled. You don't have to destroy their ships. You just have to stop them from destroying us. Understanding dawned in Ara's glowing eyes. She could feel the council ships charging there, weapons preparing to fire. She could interface with their systems, but she didn't have to turn their weapons against them. She could simply prevent them from firing, but it would require her to partially release her true nature, to become something between the peaceful person she wanted to be and the weapon she was designed to be. Will you stay with me? She asked Tae-ho. While I do this, I need someone to remind me who I choose to be. Always, he said. Ara closed her eyes and let her control slip just enough. The crystal structures on her skin grew larger. The energy fields around her body intensified, and throughout the station, every piece of technology began responding to her presence. She reached out with abilities that could have conquered galaxies, but she used them with surgical precision. She found the weapon systems on all 12 council ships and simply turned them off. Not destroyed, not sabotaged, just peacefully disabled. Then she did something even more amazing. She reached into the ship's life support systems and began improving them, making the air cleaner, the water purer, the food more nutritious. She was using her devastating abilities to heal instead of harm. But the effort of controlling such power while maintaining her peaceful nature was enormous. She collapsed to her knees, her body shaking with the strain. The weapons are offline, Tae-ho said, watching the sensor readings. All of them. Across the entire fleet. Admiral Chen's angry voice came over the speakers. What have you done to our ships? Commander Hyun-woo smiled as he responded. We've demonstrated that some weapons choose not to fire. Ara looked up at Tae-ho, her face a mixture of crystal, metal, and something that was purely alien but somehow still recognizably her. I did it, she whispered. I used what I am without becoming what I was made to be. You were beautiful before, Tae-ho said softly, but now you're magnificent. For the first time since her people had gained consciousness, one of the Velnari had found a way to be powerful without being destructive, to be true to her nature while choosing her own path, and in that moment she realized she was no longer alone. Throughout the galaxy, other hidden Velnari had felt what she had done. They had sensed someone like them choosing to protect rather than destroy. They were coming. 6 months later, Research Station Harmony had become something no one could have imagined. What had once been a simple scientific outpost was now the first embassy between humanity and the Velnari, the hidden survivors of a species that the galaxy had thought was extinct. Ara stood in the new garden that had been built in the station's central hub. She no longer looked entirely human, but she no longer looked entirely alien either. The crystal structures that had emerged during her transformation had become part of her permanent appearance, creating patterns of light beneath her skin that shifted like living art. The metal components had formed delicate filigree around her arms and neck, beautiful rather than threatening. She was something new. Neither the weapon she had been designed to be nor the human she had pretended to be, but something that was uniquely herself. Taeho found her there, as he did most mornings. She was tending to plants that shouldn't have been able to exist. Earth roses growing alongside Velnari crystal flowers. Human vegetables thriving next to alien trees that sang in harmonies too complex for human ears to follow. "The Council is sending another delegation," he told her. "I know," Ara said, her voice now carrying those musical harmonics that had become familiar to everyone on the station. "They're curious about what we've built here." In the months since the standoff, everything had changed. When the Council fleet had returned to headquarters with their weapons mysteriously disabled, but their crews unharmed and healthier than before, word had spread quickly through the galactic community. The Velnari weren't extinct, and they weren't the monsters the Council had claimed them to be. Other survivors had begun emerging from hiding across the galaxy. They came to Research Station Harmony cautiously at first, expecting to find either dead humans or another trap. Instead, they found something unprecedented, a place where beings like them could exist openly without fear. Dr. Park Soo-jin approached them in the garden. She now worked alongside 3 other Velnari in the Botanical Research Division. "The new arrivals have finished their orientation," she reported. "Kaya and Ren are interested in joining the engineering team, and Locke wants to work in the physics lab." The newest refugees were still learning to trust, still learning that they could reveal their true forms without being hunted. Each one had their own story of centuries spent hiding, pretending to be other species, always running from both the Council and their own people who had chosen to embrace their destructive nature. Engineer Lee Dong-woo approached with his usual smile. "Ara, your people's understanding of quantum mechanics is incredible. We've made more progress in 6 months than we made in 6 years before you arrived." "We learn quickly," Ara said simply. "It's part of what we were designed to do. But now, we use that ability to understand rather than to infiltrate and destroy." Commander Hyan-woo joined them, looking tired but satisfied. "The Council delegation arrives tomorrow. Admiral Chen is leading it personally." "The same Admiral Chen who wanted to destroy the station?" Taeho asked. "The same one. But his tone has changed considerably since the other Council worlds started demanding to know why they weren't told about peaceful Velnari survivors. The political situation in the galaxy had become complex. When news spread that the supposedly extinct Velnari were not only alive, but actively helping other species, many worlds began questioning the Council's policies. Some even began demanding reparations for the genocide that had been committed against beings who might have been allies instead of enemies. Dr. Wan approached with her medical scanner, something she did regularly now, not to study Ara as a specimen, but to monitor her health as a friend. "Your integration is stabilizing," she reported. "The biological, technological, and crystalline components of your body are working together better than ever." "I'm becoming what I was always meant to be," Ara said. "Not what I was designed to be, but what I choose to be." Young Communications. Officer Nam Ji-won came running up to them, her face excited. "Ara! We just received a transmission from the Outer Rim. It's from Velnari, who haven't been in contact with anyone for over 200 years. They want to come here." "How many?" Ara asked. 17 ships, maybe 100 individuals." Ara closed her eyes and felt a wave of emotion that would have been overwhelming when she was still pretending to be human. More of her people. Choosing to emerge from hiding. Choosing to trust in the possibility of peace. "We'll need to expand the living areas," Commander Hyunwoo said practically. "And the laboratories. At this rate, we'll need to build a second station." "The Council won't like that," Security Chief Nam Jin-soo pointed out. He had remained skeptical longer than most, but even he had come to accept the Velnari presence. The Council will adapt, Ara said with quiet confidence. "They have no choice. We're not going back into hiding, and we're not going to become the monsters they expected us to be." That evening, Tae-ho found Ara in their favorite spot, the observation deck where they had first talked about her past. She was standing by the window, but she wasn't alone. 3 other Velnari stood with her, their crystalline forms glowing softly in the starlight. These were beings who had been in hiding for centuries, who had thought they were the only ones left, who had believed they would always be alone. Now, they were part of a community. "You've given them hope," Tae-ho said as he joined Ara. "We've given each other hope," she corrected. "Humans and Velnari together. We've shown that it's possible to choose what you become." One of the other Velnari, a being called Ven, who had been hiding as a ship's mechanic for 40 years, spoke in their musical language. Ara translated. "He says that humans are the first species they've met who judge others by their choices rather than their capabilities." "What do you think will happen when the Council delegation arrives tomorrow?" Tae-ho asked. Ara smiled, and the crystal patterns beneath her skin pulsed with gentle light. "I think they're going to see something they never expected to see. They're going to see weapons that chose to become healers, destroyers that chose to become builders, monsters that chose to become something beautiful." The next morning, Admiral Chen's ship docked with the station. The Admiral himself came aboard, flanked by diplomats and scientists rather than soldiers. He was a different man than the one who had threatened to destroy the station 6 months earlier. He met with the station's leadership in the main conference room. But this time, half the people around the table were Velnari in their true forms. Crystal and metal and living light working together in harmonious union. "This is not what we expected," Admiral Chen admitted as he looked around the room. "What did you expect?" Commander Hyunwoo asked. "Conquered humans, destroyed technology, death." Chen looked directly at Ara. "You could have killed my entire fleet. Why didn't you? Because destruction is what I was designed to do, Ara replied. But creation is what I choose to do. Admiral Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "The Council has made many mistakes. We let fear guide our decisions instead of wisdom. We became the monsters we thought we were fighting." "The past cannot be changed," said Kaya, one of the newer Velnari arrivals. Her form was more mechanical than Ara's, all flowing metal and pulsing energy. "But the future can be written differently." The meeting continued for hours. Plans were discussed for formal diplomatic relations, for joint scientific projects, for an end to the hunting and hiding that had defined Velnari existence for so long. But the most important moment came at the end, when Admiral Chen asked to speak with Ara privately. "I need to understand," he said when they were alone. "Your people were created to be the perfect weapons. Shapeshifters who could infiltrate any society, technology manipulators who could turn our own tools against us, beings capable of destroying entire worlds. How do we know you won't change your minds? How do we know you won't become what you were made to be?" Ara looked at him with her glowing eyes. "Because we've seen what beauty looks like," she said simply. "We've seen what it means to be loved for who we choose to be rather than feared for what we could do. We've learned that creation is more satisfying than destruction, that building is more fulfilling than tearing down. And if some of your people disagree, if some choose to embrace their violent nature, then we'll stop them," Ara said. "Not because we're forced to, but because we choose to protect the beauty we've found." Admiral Chen nodded slowly. "Your people will need new places to live, new identities in galactic society. Integration won't be easy." "We know," Ara said. "But we're not afraid of hard work. We've been hiding for centuries. It will be wonderful to finally be able to build instead." That evening, Tai-Ho and Ara walked through the expanded gardens that now covered 3 levels of the station. Velnari and human children played together among plants that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. Scientists from a dozen species worked, side by side on projects that would have been impossible before. "Do you ever miss it?" Tai-Ho asked. "The simplicity of your human disguise?" Ara laughed, and the sound was like crystal bells and flowing water. "I was never actually simple. I was just hiding my complexity." She stopped walking and turned to face him.